Kampala. First half tries from Edward Sigauke, Takuza Musingwini, as well as Kudzai Mashawi had the Sables cruising to a 22-0 lead at half-time. But Uganda responded with 20 unanswered points of their own and missed a long-range penalty late on that would have completed an unlikely recovery. Despite the scare, head coach Pete Bernard was fairly happy with the result in Kampala.
A win is a win. We certainly would have liked to perform better here and there, but at the end of the day, we did enough to scrape past a very talented team, a committed team, a team full of big, strong, proud Ugandans in the capital. So certainly we'll take the positives out and hopefully work on a couple of things to be competitive against our other neighbors.
That was a Sables head coach there, Pete Bernard, speaking after the win on Saturday. Beating Uganda meant that we qualified for next year's tournament, which will be the official qualifying competition for Africa for the 2027 Rugby World Cup. The Sables next play arch rivals Namibia on Wednesday in the semi-finals. In some schoolboy rugby this weekend, we saw St. John's College avenging their loss to Peterhouse earlier this season, emerging with a narrow 16-14 victory. St. George's College thrashed old rivals Prince Edward 44-14. Falcon hammered Hellenic 53-12. CBC were beaten 19-10 by Lomagundi. Churchill, they emerged with a handsome win over Kyle College 43-23. And Eaglesville had a 34-16 victory over Hillcrest. Let's talk some tennis now. Zimbabwe secured promotion to Davis Cup World Group 2 following a 2-1 win over Benin yesterday in their Group 3 Africa Qualifier tournament in Nigeria. After starting their campaign with a disappointing loss to the hosts in the opening tie, the Zimbabwe team recovered to win their following 4 ties. Zimbabwe finished third in the group, securing promotion to Group 2 alongside group winners Namibia and Nigeria, who just edged us into second place. Mr. V, very briefly there, I know you have, shall we say, a few harsh words for maybe the performances. Aside from the result, we just needed to finish in the top 3. We managed to do that, but I guess you're disappointed maybe with not stamping our historic authority on African tennis compared to where we were 25 years ago.
Yeah, we did it, but the manner of the victories were concerning. Namibia, we beat them 2-1, but that was only in a final set tie-break in the doubles, so that was really precarious. We won 4 out of 5, as you say, but if we had won 3, we still would have gone through and got promotion, but it wasn't that impressive. Lyle Zalumis was very exposed at this level. Benedict Banza wasn't able to come for the tie, but it just shows that we don't have depth outside of the Lock brothers, and it is cause for concern. We did it, but not satisfactory, Rukudzo.
I guess Tennis Zimbabwe themselves, though, will be satisfied that they managed to start infusing more youthful talent in our teams. Lyle Zalumis, as you talked about there, yes, maybe he was exposed, but it was his first experience of Davis Cup tennis. Benedict Badza, of course, he's been traveling with them in recent ties as well. He couldn't come for this one because his university refused him permission to join the team. Maybe we'll start seeing them emerge as rising stars in the Davis Cup team, but it's only going to be more experience and maybe as well exposing themselves to better opponents in their tours or their universities that will then of course make them better players.
Have your say on the Daily Sports Zone on Star FM. WhatsApp 0772 162 651.
Okay, so let's move over to football now. Some significant news that emerged yesterday morning in one of our sister newspapers, the Sunday Mail. ZIFA has reportedly been conducting interviews today for the vacant Warriors head coaching position. Technical Director Jethro Hunidzarira last week said that ZIFA would unveil a new coach this past weekend. Those plans, though, were shelved for a final round of virtual interviews today. So reports state that ZIFA have shortlisted a Spaniard named Gerard Neus, a veteran German Winfried Schaefer. I'm sure a lot of you remember him winning the AFCON with Cameroon back in 2002. There are also some countrymen of his, Michael Nies and Antoine Hey, as well as Brazilian Maximo Barcelos for the top job. The interviews are being conducted by a panel that includes experts from ZIFA, FIFA, as well as CAF. FIFA are understood to be conducting the integrity checks on the candidates for ZIFA They're all holders of a UEFA Pro license coaching badge. Simba, let's bring you in here when it comes to the names that were bandied about yesterday morning. How are you feeling about it? Do you get excited when you see someone like Winfried Schaefer, who has experience of lifting the Africa Cup of Nations, among those names? Talk to me about what you saw yesterday morning in the newspaper.
I'm not really excited, Rukudzo, because you spoke about Winfried Schaefer. Yes, you won the edition is 2002. Yeah, with Cameroon. But, taking another coach could have done the same with that Cameroon squad. The leaders that are there from the back, Rigobert Song, Raymond Kala. You have the midfielders, Jeremy Njitapa, Patrick Mboma, Sami Eto. That was a brilliant squad that anyone else could have done that. Because if you look at Winfried Schaefer, before Cameroon, there's nothing really about him. After Cameroon, nothing really about him. He's been a nomad, but nothing really tangible coming out of there. And I still stand with my position that where we are coming from right now, I don't really think if we are to get a foreign coach, it will solve our problems. And more so, you look at the tenure of the normalization committee. We have a similar problem before when Valinhos was also appointed, and then another executive came in, and we ended up with a date, and that date costed us a lot. And in this instance, I still maintain that as long as we don't have a blueprint of where we want to go, we can hire any other coach, but then that coach will not solve us our problems. And more so, besides Winfried Schaefer, the others are complete unknowns. When you look at it, and it goes back to the argument that I've always proffered that, when these coaches are coming here, they are using us as a stepping stone. They want to go somewhere. And for us, we expect a lot from them, and they don't get to deliver. And we are just going round in circles, and then we go back to the debate again. Do we need a foreign coach or do we need a local coach? And for our local coaches, how much have we invested in them so that they can do better? We just have the examples of Aliou Cisse, Senegal. Yes, he played the high stage, but look at the time that he was given for him to start bringing in results for Senegal. And also the development that was being put in terms of the junior structures, the players that came through their structures from the under 17 up to 23 and then graduating into the senior team. And we have just been looking at the last edition of the Africa Cup of Nations, how many of the local coaches did well as opposed to those that were coming from outside. And I think, we are just going around in circles in as far as the Warriors coaching job is concerned.
Mr. V, I know you took a brief deep dive maybe into some of the names there that were bandied about as candidates for the Warriors job. Can you just let us know just how much of an unknown quantity some of these names are, as Simba talked about?
Yeah, most of them are in logger territory, so it would only take us back. Winfried Schaefer, might remember him with his long white hair. He's 74 now. That doesn't mean that he can't do the job. I mean, Roy Hodgson was coaching Crystal Palace last season in the English Premier League, but it's obviously old. Antoine Hey is also German. He coached Liberia, Kenya and Rwanda. Most recently, Myanmar coach in Asia. Michael Nice is another German. He coached the Seychelles, Rwanda and Kosovo. Not inspiring at all. Gerard Nous is Spanish. He's currently the assistant coach of Greece. This will be a step up. Like Simba says, it's a career goal. Probably wants to move on elsewhere longer term. Marcio Maximo, the Brazilian, has in the past coached Tanzania and top Tanzanian club Yanga. He was the Guyana coach 2019 to 2021. It's not inspiring. I totally agree with Simba. Let's invest in Tonderai and Diraya, take Short Chiragui and other local coaches. Norman Mapeza, if he wants, which I don't think he does at the moment. Could we get Callisto Pasua back? What success he brought the Warriors. I'd much rather that we spend money investing in our own local coaches, unless we're going to pay $40,000, $50,000 a month for a really good foreign coach. And these are all in $6,000, $8,000 a month territory. I would suspect probably Schaefer would be a bit more expensive, but I would be of that school of thought of investing in our local coaches.
Simba, just to close off this topic, how worried are you or not concerned at all about the influence of FIFA in the selection process? Because we're hearing now that they're the ones that are carrying out the integrity checks. We're hearing that Solomon Mudege has also had a very strong say in who they need to pick and who they need to interview. FIFA's influence in picking our national team coach, is that a worry for you, or you're not concerned?
It's a worry, because definitely. Why? Because, where we are and where we want to go, it's us who should be dictating the pace, because look at the resources that we have. Yes, they might say that FIFA will also be paying that coach, but up until when? And yes, he might be paid more money, but what about the players also? Because looking at our situation, there are a lot of problems that we face when it comes to the national team. The issue about traveling, the issue about bonuses and allowances for the players. So a lot of things needs to be solved from our own Zimbabwean perspective, not from a FIFA point of view.
You are listening to the Daily Sports Zone on Star FM, your first choice for sports. The show proudly brought to you by Copy Spare Parts Distributors in Harare. We have 2 branches along Kaguvi Street in the CBD, as well as a Masasa branch, Southerton, Granite and Copy Bus Division also in Granite. In other towns, you can be found in Mutare. We have 2 branches in Vulayo, Kwekwe, Gweru, Chinoi, as well as Jishavane. Our new Kadoma branch opened as well on the 10th of July. Those in Kadoma and surrounding areas, this is your branch. Visit us for opening specials. Copy Spares, making the whole nation drive.
This is the Daily Sports Zone on Star FM.
In the Castle Premier Soccer League this past weekend, league leaders FC Platinum drew 0-0 with resurgent champions Ngezi Platinum Stars in a top-of-the-table clash at Mandava Stadium. That game, shall we say, disappointing, as considering people were expecting a bit of a thriller in terms of the top 2. FC Platinum remain 5 points clear at the top, though. Third place, Simba Bora held to a 1-1 draw away to Green Fuel Autumn Sona, putting Simba Bora ahead early with his 6th goal of the season. Chris Ngwende leveling for Green Fuel. And Manika Diamonds slipped to 4th spot after another uninspiring performance led to a goalless draw at home to Tel 1. The Gem Boys, who once built an 8-match winning streak, have now been victorious in just 1 of their last 7 league games, failing to win the last 5 on the bounce. Mr. V, let's talk about the top of the table clash there. The disappointing damp squib that ended up being FC Platinum 0, Ngezi Platinum Stars 0. I guess we shouldn't really be disappointed when so much is at stake when it comes to the top 2. I guess FC Platinum will be the happier of the 2 sides because their advantage remains 5 points.
Yeah, I watched the game on ZTN Prime. Howard Musonza and Spencer Banda were there. Yeah, it sounded so glamorous, the top of the table clash, the Platinum Derby, but after an hour you could tell nobody was going to score, even if they played the whole rest of the day into the night. And Ngezi did have first half chances, Platinum in the second half, but it was a disappointment. It looks as though Ngezi, though, they're looking much more solid than at the start of the season. We still have to remember they're representing us in African club competition in the CAF Champions League. And they do look much better now, and perhaps they might be able to acquit themselves with some degree of respect, although it's going to be hard in Africa. But their squad is looking okay.
There's still plenty of time in the season. Of course, Simba by Manika Diamonds are slipping now. 1 win from their last 7. It looked like they were going to make a very serious title challenge, but they're slowly slipping away. Jaros Tapera, maybe his tactics of, shall we say, being very secure at the back and then not being as exciting going forward, starting to catch up with them now because they're struggling to find results. Wins, that is.
Yeah, but again, we go back to that issue that you spoke about, the issue of divided attention. You know, when you got that Warriors job, that was the beginning of, them dropping points. Same thing that happened to Brito last year with Highlanders. And for them, I think they need a good soul searching to say where are we really going wrong. Because for me, I think they're kind of, running out of steam or pressure to be at the top. When they started dropping points, I think it's affected them, and they really need to sit down and re-strategize, because if they continue dropping points, then they'll be out of the race.
Elsewhere, Highlanders built on their victory over Dynamos last weekend with a 2-0 triumph over tricky Bulawayo Chiefs at Barberfields. Marvin Sibanda and Peter Mdua on the score sheet for Boso. Dynamos escaped with a 1-0 win away to Wange at the Colliery. Kevin Moyo netting the winner for Dembare in the first half. Don't forget Moyo, Shadrack Nyawa and Frank Makarati were all not used against Boso as reported punishment for being the alleged ringleaders of the strike in the lead up to that Highlanders game. All three started against the coal miners yesterday, and Godfrey Mkambi gave Herentos a 1-0 win over Caps United at Rufaro Stadium. The Green Machine season continuing with its inconsistent nature. Back to you, Simba. When it comes to Highlanders now, it looks like they've, shall we say, caught a second wind, maybe a bit of a purple patch. That significant win over Dynamos may be powering them against Bulawayo Chiefs, who have been a bogey team for them in recent years.
Yeah, definitely, Rukudza, because remember in the first half of the season, Highlanders failed to win a game against all the teams from Bulawayo, and they kind of struggled. But I think the turning point was that victory against the Dynamos after the restart, and the confidence now, they're oozing with confidence, and the coach, at some point looked like he was under pressure, but, the confidence, and I saw even when Mobile and Love, who was introduced, he missed quite a number of chances. But looking at their strike force, now almost every other striker gets into goal scoring positions with their strike force. Also looking at the other two that have already been there, Brighton Ngobe as well as Lino Chikua, who are among the leading goal scorers in the country. Neva Raush also coming in. It seems like there is a lot of confidence. Marvin Sibanda, and he has scored in how many games that he has come in. He has started, he scored first 2 games against Bigita Minerals and Wanke, and then he failed to score against Dynamos and Yada, but is back on the score sheets and one of their leading players right now at the moment. So much confidence, and for Peter Mdua to come from defense and get a goal, it shows the confidence that is there in the team, and anyone else can score and anyone else can carry the team on his shoulders. So for the meantime, Highlanders, if they can also pass through Simba Bora on Wednesday, they will be unstoppable.
Wow, they'll be unstoppable. They're only just 7 points off the top. Maybe now a little bit more hope coming into Highlanders fans in terms of a title challenge. Dynamos, as I said, they escaped with a 1-0 win at the Colliery. Mr. V, the return of those 3 significant players, Kevin Moyo, Shadrack Nyawa, Frank Makarati, obviously helping them in terms of their defense. But we do hear that Wange left a few chances on the table that could have made life extremely difficult for Dynamos. In fact, they should have lost the game is what we're hearing, and that Dynamos were fortunate to come away with the 3 points. But a significant victory there for Genesis Mangombe. He's seriously under pressure, and going into the Confederation Cup campaign, they need all the positive vibes they can find.
Yeah, encouraging. You just want to go to the Colliery and get the result. A 1-0 fine for Dynamos. Wange have only won twice this season, so perhaps they're not as fearsome at home as we make them out to be, but decent result, yeah, and some irony there that the winner came from Kevin Moyo, who had been dropped for the big game against Highlanders 8 days ago.
So your standings in the Castle Lager Premier Soccer League as they stand: FC Platinum on top with 39 points. Ngezi Platinum Stars in second with 34. Simba Bora also have 34 points but have an inferior goal difference. In fourth place we find Manika Diamonds sliding down the standings. They have 33. In fifth place, Highlanders with 32 points, and Dynamos now have 27 points. So, of course, you are listening to the Daily Sports Zone, brought to you by Copy Spares. Our product range includes suspension components, service kits, engine components, lubricants, timing components, brake and clutch components, body parts, and accessories. You can also contact us on our website. That's www.copyspares.co.zw. Our Facebook page is Copy Spare Parts Distributors. You can find us on X at Spares Copy. LinkedIn is Copy Spare Parts Distributors, and or even on TikTok at Copy Spares. Hurry now to Copy Spares and experience our world-class service at affordable prices. Copy Spares, making the whole nation drive.
The Daily Sports Zone goes international on Star FM.
International news in brief, starting off with golf. Xander Schauffele secured his second major victory of the season in golf, pulling clear of a congested leaderboard with a bogey-free final round of 65 to claim an impressive 2-shot win at the 152nd edition of the Open Championship. Schauffele became the first player since Brooks Koepka in 2018 to win 2 men's majors in the same year. And finally, motorsport, Oscar Piastri won a highly dramatic and controversial Hungarian Grand Prix for his first full win in Formula One. Teammate Lando Norris eventually heeding pleading messages from the McLaren pit wall to give up his lead to his teammate following a pit stop strategy that seemed to have disadvantaged Piastri. Lewis Hamilton of Mercedes came third despite a collision with Red Bull's Max Verstappen, who finished fifth behind Ferrari's Charles Leclerc. Well, that's it for today's edition of the Daily Sports Zone right here on Star FM. A big apology to you if you've been sending in your messages. I can see them flying in this evening. We did not have enough time. We had so much to discuss, but you can try again, of course, on the Monday Night Sports Extra at 9:30 this evening right here on Star FM. I'll be Simba Chiminya and David Sengu taking your calls and reading your messages. Leave you the hands now of Linda Muriro on Mondays. Up next right here on Star FM, your first choice for sports.